It was a gray Tuesday morning when Daniel Fletcher walked into the Westbrook County Courthouse with a leash in one hand and a folder of documents in the other. At the end of the leash trotted a golden Labrador, wearing a navy blue bow tie and an expression that could melt stone. As soon as they entered the courtroom, muffled laughter rippled through the crowd. A few whispered jokes passed between the rows. Even Judge Eleanor Whitmore, a stern woman known for her no-nonsense demeanor, smirked slightly as she raised her eyes from the case files. "Mr. Fletcher," she said, her voice firm but curious, "would you care to explain why you brought a dog into my courtroom?" Daniel stood tall, dressed in a modest suit that had clearly seen better days. His voice was calm, steady. "Yes, Your Honor. This dog is my witness." More laughter followed. The opposing attorneys exchanged smug glances. Judge Whitmore leaned back in her chair, folding her hands. "Your witness, Mr. Fletcher?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, this is Max. He was my father's service dog, and he has something to show the court." Now, the courtroom wasn't laughing. It was quiet, confused. Whitmore narrowed her eyes. "Go on." "My father, Peter Fletcher, was a resident at Ridgeview Assisted Living Facility before he passed away 3 months ago. He was a Korean War veteran, a teacher, and a man who deserved dignity. I'm filing this case because I believe Ridgeview was negligent in their care, and Max is the only being who saw everything my father went through." A murmur passed through the courtroom. The defense stood up almost instantly. "Objection, Your Honor. This is absurd. Are we seriously considering a dog as a witness now?" But Daniel didn't flinch. He pulled a flash drive from the folder and held it up. "My father, in his final months, wore a GoPro attached to Max's collar. He wanted to capture what was really happening inside that facility. No one believed him. He said the staff ignored his pain, skipped medication doses, and treated him like a burden. He asked for help. No one listened. So he made sure someone else was watching." The judge motioned to the bailiff, who took the flash drive and plugged it into the courtroom monitor. Within seconds, the screen flickered to life. The first few clips were harmless. Max walking down the halls, nurses chatting in the background, routine moments. But then the video changed. Peter was seen lying in bed, visibly weak, his voice barely a whisper as he called for help. A nurse entered and glanced at him. "I'm in pain," he said. "You always say that," she muttered, rolling her eyes. "You're fine. My chest. I already gave you your pills. Don't start this again." And she left, just like that. The courtroom watched in silence. Then came clip after clip of similar neglect. A tray of food untouched for hours. Soiled sheets left unchanged. Max pacing nervously, sometimes barking at the door, as if begging someone to check in. Once, the camera even caught a moment when Max tried to pull a fallen water bottle toward Peter's hand. Judge Whitmore watched, her face stone still. At one point, she glanced down at Max, who now lay quietly at Daniel's feet, head resting on his paws. The defense tried to push back. They claimed the footage was taken out of context, that the moments were isolated. But the judge cut them off. "I've seen enough," she said, her voice tight. Daniel stepped forward. "I'm not here for money. I don't want a settlement. I want change. I want the people responsible to be held accountable. My father died thinking his suffering didn't matter, but it did. And this dog, this loyal companion, was the only one who stayed by his side every moment. I brought Max here because people wouldn't believe me, but maybe they'll believe him." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, Judge Whitmore removed her glasses, eyes slightly moist. "When you walked into my courtroom today, Mr. Fletcher," she said, her voice quieter now, "I laughed, and I was wrong, deeply wrong." She looked down at Max and then back to Daniel. "This court finds that Ridgeview Assisted Living Facility failed in their duty of care. I'm ordering an immediate state investigation, mandatory staff retraining, and oversight for the next 18 months. But she didn't stop there. "I also recommend that this footage be submitted to the state legislature's Elder Care Committee. This case should not be forgotten." A wave of quiet applause came from the gallery. Reporters scribbled. The story was already catching fire. Later that afternoon, as Daniel and Max walked out of the courthouse, a small crowd gathered. Someone reached out to pet Max, and he wagged his tail gently, calm as ever. In the weeks that followed, the footage went viral. News channels called it the dog that testified. State representatives took notice. Within months, Vermont passed new elder care regulations, nicknamed informally as Max's Law. It required random care audits, allowed service animals unrestricted access, and introduced body cam policies in long-term care settings. Daniel didn't seek attention, but it found him. People sent letters, emails, donations, many just to say thank you. He used the money to start a small nonprofit that paired service animals with senior citizens in need. He named it Peter's Promise. Judge Whitmore also changed. Known once for her hardline approach, she became an advocate for elder justice, appearing at fundraisers and public hearings. One day, she visited a community center where Daniel and Max were speaking. She waited until the crowd had gone before walking up. "I still think about that day," she told him. "I've seen thousands of cases, but I'll never forget yours." Daniel smiled, placing a gentle hand on Max's head. He did all the talking. The judge kneeled beside Max, brushing his fur. "We laugh at things we don't understand," she said softly. "And sometimes it takes someone who can't speak to teach us how to listen." Years passed, but the story of Max and Peter lived on. A small statue now sits at the entrance of Ridgeview Assisted Living, a Labrador in a bow tie, cast in bronze. Beneath it is a plaque that reads, "For the silent witnesses, and for the voices we must never ignore." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us here on Soulful Stories, where every tale is a tribute to the unseen heroes among us. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the quietest voices speak the loudest.